In this video, we are going to be teaching you how to take the drawings of the outlines from Fusion that we made, the DXF files, and then get them ready for actually cutting on the laser. So it'll be a lot of fun. Let's get down to it. First thing I want to do is just show you some Inkscape stuff. So to zoom out, hold down the control and roll the mouse ball up and down to zoom in and out. To move left and right, up and down to pan, push the mouse wheel all the way down like a button and then move your mouse around. That will move the cursor, or it'll slide you left and right. So I'm going to zoom back out a little bit so I can see the whole page. This may not be open for you yet, I don't know. Next thing we need to do is we need to set up the size of the page for the size of the laser cutter. So I'm going to go File, Document Properties, and then I'm going to come down here and set the width to 600. Your screen might look a little different than mine. I'm going to press enter. That's okay, you may have a different version, and change the height to 300. That's the width of our laser cutter. It is 600 millimeters or 60 centimeters wide, 300 millimeters, 30 centimeters high. And then I'm going to come here and just close this window out. And this is what I have to fit everything onto. Now I need to go grab my drawings and import them in. So I'm going to do that right now. So I'm going to go File, Import, and I'm going to bring in layer 1. And mine is set to a scale factor of 10 here. So it's manual scale factor of 10. If you were modeling in millimeters when you made the DXF files, you can leave that as a manual factor of 1. If you weren't, it's a manual scale factor of 10 if you were in centimeters. And I'm going to click OK. And it's going to bring that first drawing in. There's this weird error. I'm just going to OK through it. And then I'm going to zoom out. So I'm going to hold down control and move the mouse wheel so I can see the whole thing I brought in. And it should be this big. It should be much bigger than the sheet below it. We're going to have to make this on multiple cuts with the laser. All right, so that's layer 1 is in. Now, in order to have something cut on the laser, the lines need to be red. If it's going to engrave something, that needs to be in black. So the first thing we need to do is convert these lines from this gray color into a pure red. To do that, I'm going to go up to Object and Fill and Stroke. Fill refers to the color inside the shape. Stroke refers to the color of the line outside the shape, kind of like the stroke of a paintbrush, right? So it's a line. So here on Fill, I'm going to click X for no fill, because I want it to be clear. Stroke Paint, I'm going to do a solid flat color. I'm going to choose the RGB color scheme here, so I'm going to avoid the other ones. And I'm going to drag this red all the way over to 255. Or I can just click here and type in 255. If you do 254 red, it looks the same to you on the screen, but the laser will ignore a 254 red. It can tell the difference. So make sure it's 255, 00, 100. Otherwise, it won't cut. All right, so that looks really good. I think we are all ready. Yep, okay. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to break this up. Notice that all of these are together as one object. To break them up, we're going to go Control, Shift, and then press G over and over again until down here at the bottom it says no groups to ungroup. So take, great, that's awesome. Now we've got to look for things that are supposed to be grouped. For example, there's two little holes in this side piece. That should be grouped with the rest of the side piece. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to drag a box around all of that. So I have the two little side pieces with it and regroup them with a Control G, no shift that time. I'm going to do the same thing over here. If I accidentally move it, so notice if I accidentally move this piece, now the holes aren't in the right place. Don't try and line them up by eye. Do Control Z to bring them back to exactly where they were. Sorry about that. And then draw a box around them, Control G. And these two holes should stay with this outside shape, so I'm going to drag a box around it. Notice that if I overlap other objects, I don't select them. The only way to select an object is to fully envelop it in a square. Control G to bring those together. These pieces don't have any inside cuts in them, so I don't need to do that with those. Awesome. Now we need to fit these to our cutting bed. we're going to need to have 3 different cuts to make up these objects. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight them all real quick and just move them off to the side. And I'm noticing that they all need to be turned sideways, or at least, well, I'll do them one at a time. So I'm going to turn this one, I'm going to do this, the main playing surface first. And I'm going to come up here to my rotate tool, and I'm going to rotate the 90 degrees and then put it right in place. Okay, I'm going to get it close, and I'm going to zoom in on the corner and make sure that it is on there. I'm going to use the up and down, up and left arrow keys to move it around small amounts. So that looks pretty good. Yep, it's on there. This is actually my first layer. I can't fit anything else on there. It uses one piece of one sheet of plywood. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab all of these other ones. So I'm going to draw a box around all the ones that can't fit on. I'm going to do Control X to cut them. So now all I have is this. Zoom back in here, move it back to the center. And then I'm going to do File, and I'm going to do Save As. You're going to navigate to the thumb drive on your computer inside your folder. I'm going to have to go find mine. Once you're there, I'm going to call this Klask. I'm going to say page 1 of 9. We're going to need 9 sheets of plywood to make these cuts at least. I think we only need 9. I'm going to hit save. And that's page 1. So that's all done. Now right away, I'm going to do File, Save As, and I'm going to name this one page 2 of 9, and I'm going to hit Save. So now page 1 is saved and it's closed out of the way. Now we're on page 2, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this one that's already on there. I already have it on page 1, and then I'm going to do Control V for paste. I'm going to paste back in all those other objects. I'm going to grab this one here, and I'm going to rotate it to the right down and put it here. Kind of towards the bottom, but not quite to the bottom yet. And get it kind of centered. And I notice I've got this space up here that I can put something in. So I can even put something in here if it would fit, but this isn't going to fit. But this will fit up here. So I'm going to put it like there-ish, a little bit spaced apart. And maybe grab this one and put it... Oh, looks like that's not going to fit. Let's see if the other one will fit. Like a champ. I'm going to zoom in here and make sure they're not overlapping, because you don't want them overlapping for sure. And yeah, there's a little space between them, so I'm pretty happy about that. And then the last thing we're going to do is just check everything out, and that looks good. That is going to be page 2. So now I'm going to move this one I couldn't get on there over here, draw a box around both of these, Control X to cut them out. I'm going to zoom back in on this one. Everything looks great. And I'm going to just say here, File, Save. That saves page 2. So this is the finished page 2. And then File, Save As. And I'm going to change the 2 to a 3. Make sure you save before you save as. I'm going to hit Save. Now we're on page 3, or the third layer of ply, or the third cut we're going to do on the laser. I'm going to highlight all of this from page 2, delete it, and then Control V, paste in the one from page 3. I'm going to grab this one, and this one I'm going to rotate this one left. Doesn't really matter which way you rotate it. And I'm going to put it on here, kind of get it centered, and then just drag and put that one right on here. Again, if I could fit it in this little space, I would, but I can't, so I'm not going to. All right, so that's it. That's page 3. File. Yeah, I think that's good. Save. Now I need to save as, and let's go to page 4, because remember we have 3 layers to do. Save as, and now I'm going to name this one page 4 of 9. I'm going to hit save. Okay, so this is all page 3 stuff, so I'm going to drag a box around it, delete it, and now I'm going to File, import, I'm going to import layer 2. And I'm basically going to repeat that exact same process again. I'm going to say OK here, should have all the same settings as before. And this weird error comes up, I haven't seen it before. And then great, now we have all these, notice all these little cuts inside, we're going to have to regroup all of those. So first thing I'm going to do is change the stroke paint. So I'm going to get rid of the fill, go to stroke paint, change it up to 255, make sure that says that, and then I'm going to ungroup it first because it's all one big group right now. So I'm going to do Control-Shift-G over and over again until it says no groups. And then I'm going to highlight this whole piece here, but only this piece, and go Control-G to put it back together. I'm going to do the same thing on this side, Control-G, and this bottom piece has little interior pieces as well, Control-G, and the top piece, Control-G, and then the last one I'm going to do is the main playing surface, Control-G. All right. Now they're all regrouped and ready to go. So I'm going to grab them and move them off to the side. I'm going to, again, this time I'm going to place this leg first. So I'm going to rotate this to the right. And then, yep, and then I'm going to put it over here. And this is the middle of the 3 pieces, so I'm going to actually flip this horizontally. It's not necessary that you have to do this, but it will help it'll help you in the future. So I'm going to flip it, so you can see it just flipped it over backwards, and then that looks good. I'm going to try and drag one. I don't have 2 pieces, so I don't think I'm going to try to squeeze both pieces on there. I'm going to leave it just like that. Zoom in real quick just to make sure that it's on the board. Yep, everything looks great. That is number 4. So I'm going to highlight all of these over here before I save, and I'm going to Control X to cut them. I'm going to zoom in on this, kind of center it, and then do File, Save first, and then File, Save As. So we've saved page 4. Now we're going to call this page 5. We're going to delete everything from page 4, so highlight it, delete it, and then paste on the other stuff. And this time I think I'm going to grab this one, I'm going to rotate it left, and flip this one. I'm only doing this for the middle layer, and what this does is if the plywood has a bow in it, it'll flip that bow over and kind of work against each other. And now I'm going to move this to the center-ish. Looks good. Maybe I'm going to use my left arrow key to move it over a little bit, and then grab this bottom one, throw it up here somewhere. Brilliant. Yep, everything looks great. That one's done, so I'm going to Control X here to get rid of that extra piece that was out there. You can see there's no extra pieces out there now. And then I'm going to do File, Save, and then File, Save As. And I'm going to call this one page 6. So we're getting close now, and I'm going to hit Save. And then I'm going to delete this. And then I'm going to Control V. And I'm going to rotate this sideways. Doesn't really matter which way. Awesome. Yes, that looks great. I'm going to File, Save, and then File, Save As. And now this is going to be page 7 next. Save. And I'm going to delete everything that was on page 6. And then I'm going to File and Import. And you guessed it, I'm going to import layer 3. Same setting as before. I'll probably get the same error as before. That's weird, but okay. And now this is the most inside layer. So this is like the interior and the bottom layer of the playing surface. You can see these little dashes across the bottom tell me it's that bottom layer. Again, I'm going to go over here to fill, turn it off, stroke, solid, 255. Everything looks perfect. And I'm going to highlight it again and Control-Shift-G until it's ungrouped. Then I'm going to draw a box around this whole side here. And I'm going to Control-G, group that back together again. And around here as well. Control-G to regroup it. The bottom one, Control-G to group it. Top one, Control-G. And then this one here, Control-G. Okay, now they're all regrouped again. I'm going to zoom out a little bit, move them all over to the side here. And again, I'm going to just flip this one down to the right, drag it in place. Use the arrow keys to do some fine adjustment. And then I'm going to take one of these, drag it up here anywhere. Totally fine. And then I'm going to highlight all of these other ones, Control-X. I'm going to go File, Save first. So I'm going to save what I've done for page 7, and then File, Save As. And I'm going to save this one as page 8. Awesome. So all this page 7 nonsense, I can delete it. I'm going to Control-V. And I'm going to grab this one next. I'm going to rotate it down to the left, drag it, drag it onto the page. Use the arrow keys to fine-tune adjust it. Grab the top piece here, drag it on there with it. And then that's good. I'm going to File, Save first. And then File, Save As. Whoops. I'm going to cancel that. Before I saved last time, I needed to delete this, so I needed to cut this off. So I'm going to go here and go Control-X to cut it. And now I'm going to go back and do it over again. Save. In fact, I'm going to zoom in. File, Save As. And this is going to be page 9 of 9. We are nearing the end of this. Save. And then we are going to delete this because that's page 8. Control-V. We are going to flip this and put it right here in the middle. Again, use the arrow keys to fine-tune the adjustment of this location. And then File, Save. Awesome. So we've got the layers down. The next thing to do is add some decoration. We're going to add some decoration to the outside layers of the legs and the inside layers of the walls, maybe, and the board. All right, that's next time.